Hey everyone, Sanimaki here, welcome to the channel. Today's video kicks off our new What If series, What If Kakashi trained Team 7 like ANBU? If you want to read along or check out the full fanfic, the link is down in the description below. Naruto, Operation Wolfpack. In an alternate timeline where Kakashi Hatake is chosen to mold Team 7 through the brutal lens of ANBU protocol, everything changes. Equal training. Zero leniency. Missions layered in shadows. While they begin with the same low-rank assignments as other genin, Kakashi's methods build discipline, stealth, and emotional armor far beyond their age. Naruto grows sharper and more focused, driven by something deeper than acknowledgement. Sakura refuses to be the weak link. Her mind, once overlooked, becomes a weapon. And Sasuke? His thirst for vengeance sharpens, tempered by tactical precision and covert ruthlessness. Told through a hybrid of first-person introspection and cinematic third-person scenes. This story dances between the harsh silence of ANBU life and the small glimmers of youthful joy they fight to protect. Chapter 1. Location, Konoha Village, dusk to midnight. The sky was bleeding orange when they handed him failure again. For the third time, Naruto Uzumaki walked away from the genin exams with nothing but laughter echoing in his ears and the sting of rejection burning in his chest. The other students passed. Even the ones who flinched when they looked at him. Even the ones who whispered about the fox and that boy. But not him. He kicked a loose pebble into the dust, fists clenched, teeth tight. Not even Iruka-sensei had looked him in the eyes when he told him he failed. Just try again next year, like it didn't split something open inside. That was when Mizuki found him. He spoke in hushed tones, voice like a secret wrapped in sympathy. "There's a way to make them see your worth," Mizuki said. "A way to pass if you're bold enough." Naruto never stood a chance. Location, Hokage's Tower, midnight. The tower loomed like a silent sentinel, windows glinting like 1,000 disapproving eyes. Naruto knew sneaking in would be stupid. Suicidal, even. But Mizuki's words still echoed in his skull. "Prove you're more than they say you are. Steal the scroll. Learn from it. Become more." He swallowed the lump in his throat, forcing his shaking hands into the seals for a basic transformation jutsu. One shot. Just one. He took the form of a nameless genin guard and slipped through the shadows. Getting in wasn't smooth. He nearly got caught twice, once by a patrolling jonin whose chakra pressure nearly made his knees buckle, and again when a flock of messenger hawks startled in their cages. He dove behind crates, heart punching his ribs like a war drum. Then, at the vault door, his jutsu flickered. The transformation faltered. His chakra burned from holding it too long. But his hand was already on the scroll's bindings, massive, old, sealed with jutsu he couldn't read. It pulsed with latent power, warning him off like a coiled snake. Naruto gritted his teeth. "You think I'm just a joke? A monster? Fine. Let's see what kind of monster can learn a forbidden technique in one night." He yanked the scroll free and triggered a silent alarm. He didn't know. Not yet. He just ran. Location, Konoha Forest Clearing, pre-dawn. Hours passed. His fingers scraped and trembling as he unraveled just one technique, Shadow Clone Jutsu. He didn't even question how something this powerful was forbidden. He just thought, if I learn this, they'll finally believe in me. Then Iruka found him. But Mizuki wasn't far behind. And that's when it shattered. "You really think anyone would ever see you as anything more than a monster?" Mizuki sneered, a kunai glinting in his hand. "You're the Nine Tails. A weapon sealed in a brat." Naruto froze. It was Iruka's blood on the ground. It was Mizuki's lies in his ears. And it was something ancient, something furious that rose behind his ribs. He didn't scream. He didn't cry. He multiplied. And he broke Mizuki with 1,000 fists. When it was over, he stood heaving under the moonlight, the scroll crumpled beside him, Iruka smiling despite the bruise blossoming across his jaw. You really are something, Iruka whispered. More than they know. And for the first time in his life, someone tied a Konoha forehead protector to his head and meant it. Location, Konoha Village, Academy Grounds. The sky over Konoha wore a dull gray haze as Naruto tightened the knot on his forehead protector. The fabric still felt unreal against his skin. Like maybe if he blinked, it would vanish. He stared at his reflection in the window pane for a long moment before puffing out his chest and slapping on his usual grin. You're a ninja now. Believe it, he muttered to himself, throwing the door open with a burst of energy. But as he walked through the streets, it became clear, nothing had changed. Villagers still looked past him. Mothers still held their children closer when he walked by. Whispers still curled behind his back like smoke he couldn't blow away. Only now, there was something new in their eyes, a flicker of caution, a whisper of fear. They'd heard what happened with the Forbidden Scroll. And they were wondering what he might become. Naruto kept his head high. If they were going to talk, let them talk. He knew what he did. He knew what Iruka said. He'd earned this. Still, the silence hurt worse than the stares ever had. Meanwhile, inside the Hokage's tower, Hiruzen Sarutobi tapped a pipe against his desk. The report in front of him was thick, marked with red ink and scorch lines across the mission log. 1 injured instructor. 1 stolen scroll. 1 forbidden jutsu successfully performed. And a genin promoted through combat merit. He didn't look up. Kakashi. A figure materialized by the window, tall, silent, unreadable. I'm assigning you to Team 7. Kakashi's voice was quiet. The Nine Tails host.
Clip.
The Uchiha. And the girl. They're uncut stone, Hiruzen said. You'll shape them. Shape them into what? The third Hokage didn't answer. Just stared out the window toward the academy. Kakashi vanished without a sound. Back at the academy, the classroom buzzed with its usual blend of dread and anticipation. Desks scraped, paper shuffled, and bragging spilled across rows like cheap confetti. Naruto burst through the door like a one-man parade. Guess who's officially a ninja? That's right, me. Several students turned. Some groaned. Shikamaru opened one eye and immediately regretted it. TCH. What are you doing here? He muttered, head already sinking back onto folded arms. Before Naruto could shout something back, his eyes landed on Sasuke. Calm, composed, scowling at the wall like it owed him a favor. Naruto's grin dropped half a notch. Of course he was already here. He stomped to the furthest desk possible and slumped down. Bet he cheated his way through the exam. The door slammed open again. Ino, back off, he's mine. Sakura, don't start with me. The girls exploded into the room in a blur of shrieking and elbows. Sakura shoved past Naruto's desk without warning, knocking into him just as he turned. His foot caught the leg of the desk. He lurched and slammed face first into Sasuke's. For a breathless second, the classroom froze. Lips accidentally met. Then, pure chaos. Naruto shrieked and fell backward, nearly tipping his entire desk. Sasuke gagged and wiped his mouth like he'd tasted poison. Sakura looked like someone had stabbed her in the heart with a dango stick. Ino screamed. Someone in the back lost it and dropped a kunao in shock. Why me? Naruto howled, flailing. Sasuke wiped his face with the sleeve of his shirt, looking murderous. Shikamaru sat up just enough to sigh. Troublesome. And above it all, beyond their notice, perched against the window frame of the building across the street, Kakashi watched through a sliver in the curtains. He didn't react. Just observed. He saw Naruto's bravado hiding a raw, untempered rage. He saw Sasuke's sharpened silence, a weapon waiting for a target. He saw Sakura's face flush with fury and embarrassment, but also the hunger to be acknowledged, seen, respected. It wasn't a team yet. But it could be something. Something dangerous. Something useful. Later that morning, the team assignments were posted, and Naruto practically tackled the bulletin board. Come on, Simon, yes. I got Sasuke and Sakura. Wait. I got Sasuke and Sakura. Sakura gasped behind him.
If you're
No.
wondering how I scored top
Sasuke
essay
groaned
marks
audibly.
in university,
Naruto's
my
mouth
secret
opened to
weapon.
protest, but a sudden hush fell over the class. Their Jonin instructor never showed. Time ticked on. Teams were being called out and whisked away. But Team 7? Still waiting. Naruto crossed his arms, tapping his foot. Where is this guy? What kind of sensei shows up late on the first day? From the rooftop above, a silver-haired man crouched low behind a row of tiles, watching the delay unfold. Kakashi closed his book. His eye glinted in the sunlight. Let's see what they do. When no one's watching. Location, Ninja Academy, then Training Ground 3. The clock ticked. Then ticked louder. It had been over 20 minutes since every other team left the classroom with their Jonin instructor, excited and chattering. Team 7 was still seated. Waiting. Naruto sat upside down in his chair, head dangling over the backrest as he groaned dramatically for the 5th time. Where is this guy? We're gonna turn to dust at this rate. Maybe he got lost, Sakura said, voice dry. Like his punctuality. Sasuke said nothing, arms folded and eyes forward. Watching the door like it might explode. The moment stretched. Then. The door creaked open. They looked up. An eraser fell from the cracked top of the door and bounced harmlessly off the floor. Naruto blinked. What? Wait, no, I. A hand reached around the door frame. Calm, gloved fingers picked up the eraser, flipped it once between them, then set it gently on the nearby chalk tray. The door eased open further. And Kakashi Hatake stepped into the room, hands in his pockets, eye heavy-lidded like he'd just woken from the world's most relaxing nap. Hello, he said. Naruto gawked. You're late. You totally ruined the trap. Kakashi blinked slowly. A trap. He glanced up at the door frame as if only now noticing the wire Naruto had left hanging. Huh. I must have missed it. Naruto's eyebrow twitched. Well, Kakashi said cheerfully, you three certainly look like a team. They didn't. Training Ground 3 buzzed with cicadas as the wind rolled across the field. Kakashi led them in silence, hands still deep in his pockets as he sauntered across the grass like this was a picnic. Naruto sulked. You were supposed to be cool or something. You're just some weird guy with bedhead. I get that a lot, Kakashi murmured, settling onto a stone post like a crane perching above a lake. He pulled out a small orange book and flipped it open. Before we start, he said, let me be clear. The lazy tone drained away. You three are not a team. Not yet. What we're doing today is not training. It's evaluation. He reached into his pouch and withdrew 2 bells. They jingled faintly as he held them up between his fingers. This is the bell test. Get one of these by noon, or you fail. Naruto blinked. Wait, 2 bells. One of you is going home, Kakashi said simply. Maybe 2. That's not fair. Sakura stepped forward. Kakashi glanced at her. Ninja life isn't. The breeze fell still. For a second, it was silent enough to hear the rustle of Kakashi's page turning. Attack me however you like, he added. Use jutsu, weapons, teamwork, tricks. Doesn't matter. Just make sure you come at me like you mean it. Because if you hesitate. He turned his head slightly, and something shifted behind his eye. Not chakra. Not killing intent. Just a sharper pressure. A deeper kind of quiet. I'll know. He vanished in a soft puff of smoke. Naruto jumped. He ran away again. No. Sasuke said, eyes narrowed. He's watching. Sakura took a nervous step back. He's tracking us already. In the shade of the trees, unseen above them, Kakashi watched the 3 move into formation. One loud, one cautious, one coiled like a spring. Naruto, high chakra, wild control. Overcompensates for loneliness with volume. Hidden intelligence buried in desperation. Needs grounding. Sasuke, strong foundation. Precision with purpose. Ego. Brittle, but it's still intact. We'll need to fracture that if he's going to grow. Sakura. Excellent chakra control. Book smart. Emotionally volatile. Likely underestimated. May surprise me. Kakashi slid his book closed. The test wasn't about bells. It never was. If these 3 wanted to be a team, they would have to bleed as one. And he would make sure they were ready to kill. Or save. As one. The forest stood silent under the weight of expectation. Naruto crouched low in the underbrush, biting his thumb as he scanned the treetops. All right. I've got one shot. Shadow clone jutsu. Poof. 3 perfect copies formed around him. Their grins matched his feral, reckless, ready. He pointed forward. We find Kakashi, we dogpile Kakashi. Got it? The clones saluted. Yeah. And with that, they split, crashing through the brush with loud, chaotic enthusiasm. Sakura peeked from behind a nearby tree, aghast. You're being way too loud. You're giving away everything. Naruto shouted back, it's called intimidation, Sakura-chan. Sasuke, hidden in the boughs above, didn't bother replying. He simply leapt to a higher branch, eyes sharp, breath controlled. He wasn't going to shout or charge. He was going to hunt. Down below, one of Naruto's clones tripped a wire. Boom. A smoke bomb burst open, blinding the clearing. 2 clones vanished in a puff. The real Naruto stumbled, coughing hard. What the? A second wire snapped, a weighted log swung low. He barely rolled aside in time. From the shadows above, Kakashi sighed. Loud. Predictable. But spirited. He flicked a pebble. It pinged off Naruto's forehead protector. You missed a trap. Naruto flailed. Stop doing that ninja ghost thing. And just like that, Kakashi vanished again. Sasuke moved like a whisper. He circled wide, silent, and controlled. Twice, he thought he saw movement twice, it was just a clone or a diversion. His Konao caught a falling leaf. He narrowed his eyes. That sent. A moment later, he threw a shuriken behind him. Kakashi appeared in mid-flip, catching the blade between two fingers. Sasuke was already on him. He threw a sweeping kick, fast and precise. Kakashi blocked it with one hand and knocked him back with a single jab to the stomach. Sasuke slid across the grass, winded but still on his feet. Better, Kakashi said, but still impulsive. Sasuke spat to the side. You're wasting my time. Kakashi's smile was unreadable. Not mine. He vanished again. Near the edge of the field, Sakura crouched beneath a low bush, hands trembling just slightly. She pressed two fingers into the dirt and closed her eyes. Weak sensory pulses pushed outward in small waves. Not perfect. Not even stable. But she caught something. Kakashi's chakra. Briefly. Gone in an instant. She gritted her teeth. I have to stay calm. Think like a ninja, not a fangirl. A branch snapped behind her and she turned too slowly. A hand rested on her shoulder. If I were an enemy, Kakashi whispered from behind her, you'd be out of the exam. Sakura jumped in fright and by the time she spun around, he was gone. By late morning, the team regrouped under a tree, bruised, breathless, and very empty-handed. We have nothing. Naruto shouted. Nothing but smoke in our lungs and failure on our faces. You ran through every trap like it was a parade, Sasuke snapped. You're the reason we got nowhere. You think hiding in a tree makes you special, emo face. Sakura stepped between them, holding up her hands. Enough. Neither of you listen to anyone. We're supposed to work together, remember? For a second, the air pulsed with silence. Naruto huffed. Fine. Whatever. He formed a cross seal again. One more time. This time, 5 clones formed. Not a massive army, just enough to shift his approach. They spread out as a distraction. Sasuke watched, eyes flicking between their movements, then threw a shuriken low and left. It passed through a bush and a smoke tag exploded. Kakashi stumbled back through the haze, coughing. Huh. Sasuke was already in front of him, Konao to his side. But before he could land a blow, a foot struck from behind. One of Naruto's clones. The real Naruto dove from above with a full-powered dropkick. Kakashi dodged at the last second barely, but the two attacks crossed paths in the smoke, passing within inches. He landed softly on a tree branch above and tilted his head. Interesting. Down below, Naruto and Sasuke had landed together, panting, tense, not making eye contact. But it had worked. Sakura, still half hidden behind a log, blinked in awe. They didn't even plan that. Noon struck. The bell rang but no one touched it. Kakashi emerged, book tucked in his sleeve, expression calmer than before. You all failed to get a bell, he said. Technically. Naruto looked like he was about to explode. But, Kakashi continued, you did act with real intent. You used your limited skills to improvise under pressure. Sasuke, you baited a blind spot. Naruto, you used shadow clones not just as a swarm but as timed distractions. And Sakura, you didn't freeze when you were alone. Her breath caught. Together. Kakashi said, almost smiling. You passed. Naruto blinked. Seriously? No way. Sakura whispered. Sasuke didn't say anything, but his clenched fist slowly relaxed. Kakashi turned toward the trees. Next time, you'll train with weights, chakra control, and stealth drills. I'm not raising soldiers. I'm forging something stronger. Behind his words, something colder lingered. Something with a mission. Something built for shadows. Location, Konoha Village, ANBU Requisition Division and Training Ground 3. Kakashi stood at the counter of Konoha's discreet supply annex, silent as the quartermaster laid out the items piece by piece. 1 set of black standard training armor. 3 sealed scrolls. A triad of unpainted porcelain masks, each white as moonlight. And beneath it all fabric, still stiff from dye, dark, high-collared uniforms marked with red-edged uzumaki spirals on both sleeves. Not quite ANBU but not genin either. Custom request, the clerk muttered. Hokage approved it personally. Kakashi nodded. Special authorization. Training protocol. He gazed at the equipment, his thoughts running deeper than his expression ever would. Uzumaki Naruto. Brash, instinct-driven, but frighteningly durable. He needs something that moves with his recklessness but demands precision. Dual blades. 1 katana for reach, 1 wakizashi for closed pressure. If he grows into sealing work, he'll need them both to anchor gestures. Sasuke Uchiha. Cold. Controlled. He won't settle for anything less than a weapon worthy of his name. Kusanagi. Too big for him now, but it will grow with him. Sakura. Cautious, steady. Weak chakra pool, but control near perfect. Needs a blade that won't get in the way of her hands-medic hands, eventually. Tanto. Fast, hidden. Enough to stab or retreat. If she survives long enough to be a true operative, her brains will keep them alive. He scooped up the 3 masks, a blank hawk, a grinning fox, and he considered the third one carefully before choosing a symbol of quiet, enduring watchfulness, a rabbit. Nimble. Small. Easy to underestimate. He tucked them under one arm and vanished in a flicker of wind. Naruto groaned dramatically as he adjusted the weighted vest strapped across his chest. Why is mine the heaviest? Because you're the loudest, Sasuke muttered, tightening his gloves without looking over. Sakura, crouched beside her gear bag, grumbled under her breath as she tried lifting her own set of arm weights. Mine's like wearing anvils. You're the smallest, Kakashi said simply, setting the sealed scrolls beside them. But your chakra control is the most refined. The weights are adjusted to match your threshold. With training, all of you will reach the next tier. He unsealed a scroll with a single hand sign. 3 long bundles unrolled across the stump in front of him, steel gleamed under tight bandages. The air shifted. Kakashi's voice lost its usual drawl. These weapons aren't for show. They reflect what you're going to become. He turned to Naruto. Katana and wakizashi. Dual blade set. You'll learn how to flow between wide and close quarters combat. Your style is unpredictable, so your offense needs to echo that. It's in your blood. Naruto blinked at the swords, awestruck. Wait. For me. Kakashi gave him a small nod. The Uzumaki weren't just sealing experts. They were warriors. He turned to Sasuke, hands resting on the longer blade. Kusanagi. It's ceremonial now. One day, it may be cursed. But it's yours because you understand how to make a weapon an extension of yourself. Don't use it unless you mean it. Sasuke narrowed his eyes. But he reached forward and accepted the weapon without a word. Kakashi finally faced Sakura and unwrapped the shortest blade. Tonto. Easy draw. Light. Silent. Eventually you'll carry a medical pouch. This blade won't get in the way of treatment. Or self-defense. Sakura's fingers trembled as she took it. Then Kakashi lifted the last bundle. 3 masks. Porcelain white, untouched. He handed them out one by one. Fox for Naruto. Hawk for Sasuke. And Rabbit, he said, resting the final mask in Sakura's hands. Watchful. Clever. You don't always strike first. But you'll learn to strike right. Sakura didn't speak. But she looked down at the rabbit mask with a small breath of awe. You'll wear these only during mission simulations or stealth drills, Kakashi added. No markings yet. You haven't earned the right to be faceless. He slipped on his own mask, wolf-shaped, cracked subtly down the edge. His flak vest remained visible beneath the black of his old ANBU coat. A relic made whole by silent permission. I'm not training you as genin, he said. I'm training you as candidates. This path isn't about flash. Or glory. He adjusted his mask, voice muffled and steady. It's about becoming ghosts who still remember who they are. The trees stood cold and quiet under a colorless dawn as Kakashi dropped a pile of scrolls into the dirt. Today isn't training, he said flatly. It's measurement. No warm-up. No pep talk. Just the challenge. The first trial was a 40-minute field run, no jutsu, no pacing. Pure endurance. Sakura pushed hard out of the gate, sharp breaths and tight form. Sasuke followed, efficient and focused. Naruto lagged behind at first, slapping at low branches, grumbling and tripping. By the second lap, Sakura's form collapsed. Her head swayed, her steps faltered. She dropped to a knee, breath tearing from her lungs. By the fourth lap, Sasuke's sleeves were soaked in sweat, jaw clenched. He stopped next, kneeling without a word, eyes narrow. Naruto didn't stop. He didn't even notice he'd passed them. His legs ached. His chakras swirled wild and unfocused. But he just kept going, teeth gritted, sweat burning down his spine, fire burning behind his ribs like a second heartbeat. By the time Kakashi told him to stop, he'd looped the forest one full extra lap alone. Naruto collapsed face first into the dirt. Okay. That was way too much. Kakashi made a sound like half a laugh. That was the warm-up. Later came stealth trials. Each genin took turns tracking a clone of Kakashi through marked corridors in the woods chakra suppression required. Sakura stepped carefully. Her breathing was calm. Her footwork passable. Snap. Twig underfoot. From nowhere, Kakashi's voice, dead. She jumped, spinning toward the sound, but it was gone. Sasuke fared better. He shadowed close, even landed a kunao into the side of the clone's shoulder. But it was bait. He fell into a genjutsu illusion that looped him for 6 whole minutes before breaking it. Dead again, Kakashi called. Try seeing with more than your eyes. Then Naruto stepped in. He didn't disappear into the shadows, he dove into them, belly flat, hands and feet crawling like a creature raised in the forest. His presence flickered. His chakra was awful, leaking everywhere but his body. A ghost. He didn't land a hit. But he was never spotted either. Kakashi took a long, silent note on the edge of a paper slip. The chakra control exercise was the final nail. Sakura climbed the training tree with perfect finesse. She scaled it 15 times in a row, no slips. But each time, her steps got slower. Her lips lost color. On the 16th climb, she collapsed halfway, chakra flickering uselessly around her palms. Sasuke climbed next. He fell twice, adjusted, corrected. He overcorrected on his 11th run and grunted in frustration, chakra pouring more than shaping. He finished 12. Naruto couldn't make it halfway up without slipping. Again. And again. And again. Clones don't help here, Kakashi said. I know that. Naruto barked, smacking the tree with his palm. But he kept going. When Sakura was lying down and Sasuke was pacing in irritation, Naruto was still climbing. He made it only halfway most times. But he never stopped. And that made Kakashi pause. By sunset, all three were barely conscious. Dust on their uniforms. Dirt in their mouths. Blood in the air. Kakashi unsealed 3 cloth-wrapped training logs, setting them on the grass. You're not the same, he said. He dropped one log in front of Sakura. Smallest chakra pool. Best control. Worst stamina. You'll train in single-stream medical diagnostics and precision chakra cycling. He dropped one in front of Sasuke. Strong potential. Tactically cold. You burn too fast. You'll drill controlled activation under emotional interference. And he dropped one in front of Naruto. Worst control. Best endurance. Your body's a furnace, no fuel gauge. You'll start dual task shadow clone training, balance drills, and friction resistance. Naruto blinked up. Friction what? Kakashi didn't elaborate. He crouched in front of them, quiet. You'll train together. But you'll suffer alone. They didn't answer. You'll fail different ways. You'll grow at different speeds. That's fine. He leaned forward, voice softer now. You don't have to be the same. He stood. You just have to hold the line together when it matters. Location, Konoha Village, Ichiraku District, late afternoon. The scent of grilled fish and miso broth drifted lazily from the food stalls as Naruto slumped into the first open bench at the dango stand, groaning like a man twice his age. I swear, he said, slapping his arms onto the counter, if Kakashi-sensei makes me run another lap with clones balancing kunao on their heads, you'll trip over your own ego again. Sasuke drawled, settling beside him without invitation. Don't start, duck butt. Sakura joined them next, tying back her hair with shaky hands. She looked like she hadn't decided whether to nap or scream. A shadow flicked across their table. Yo, Kiba called, grinning. Ino wasn't far behind, dragging Koji and Shikamaru by the sleeves like they were late for something important. Hinata, Shino, and even Shikamaru's lazy gait rounded out the crowd gathering near the bench stall. Well, Ino smirked. Fancy uniforms. Someone playing ninja dress-up. Naruto blinked. Then remembered their black, long-sleeved ANBU-styled training gear still bore the red Uzumaki patch. No forehead protectors. Just neutral masks hanging from their belts. Fox. Hawk. Rabbit. Sasuke didn't flinch. Sakura shifted uncomfortably. Naruto crossed his arms. TCH. Their training uniforms. Kiba whistled low. Looks like something the ANBU would wear. Probably getting babysat harder than we are, Koji muttered through a mouthful of sweet dango. Babysat. Naruto sat up. We had to scale trees with weighted clones while blindfolded today. You what? Hinata asked softly, her eyes wide. Wait, Ino said, looking to Sakura. You guys are using live steel now too? Sakura nodded weakly. And chakra cycling. And stealth reactions. And he makes us track him. Shikamaru blinked once. That's excessive, he muttered. Sasuke just smirked. Maybe the rest of you are just getting soft. Kiba bristled, but Shino rested a hand on his arm, silent and sharp-eyed. Something unspoken passed through the group, not quite fear, not quite envy, as they looked at the worn black uniforms, the masks without paint, and the shadows under Team 7's eyes. Then a breeze passed behind them. Kakashi appeared, hands in his pockets, orange book tucked under one arm. Rest's over, he said quietly. You three. Training resumes tomorrow before dawn. Naruto stood slowly, groaning. But I haven't even. Kakashi turned. You're not training to be like them. You're being shaped for something else. He didn't clarify. Didn't need to. And just like that, Team 7 vanished into the gathering dusk. Location, Training Ground 3, next morning. They were blindfolded before sunrise. Kakashi's voice floated around them, unanchored, like fog. You've been pushing your bodies, he said. Now we test instincts. The challenge, defend against a barrage of wooden practice now launched from randomized angles. No Sharingan. No clones. Just movement. Sakura reacted too slowly. A thud hit her shoulder. She hissed. Sasuke deflected 3 with raw intuition, then lost footing and clipped the 4th. Naruto moved like a storm. Sloppy. Fast. Wild. But somehow, fewer hits landed. Kakashi watched from above, arms crossed. No precision. But his body listens to the world in its own way. He doesn't know how to listen with chakra. But his instincts. They beg to survive. After the drill, they moved straight into solo regimens. Sakura knelt at the river's edge, focusing chakra through her solace to stand on the surface. Sweat pooled at her brow. She fell in 6 times before finally sticking.
Mom, can you come pick me
But
up?
on the 7th attempt, she lasted 30 seconds.
Hey, sounds like you need some help.
Kakashi watched silently and nodded once.
The grammar and
In the
spelling.
deeper woods,
Oh, trust me,
Sasuke
just
ran patterns against straw dummies, not with shuriken, but with his blade. Kusanagi hissed through the air, whistling with latent chakra. He hit his mark with vicious accuracy. But on his 3rd repetition, he hesitated only briefly when a shadow clone of Naruto darted past his line of sight. The pause would have cost him. He cursed and started over. And Naruto? He ran. Up trees with clones slapping his back. Through traps Kakashi reset mid-drill. He used shadow clones not as backup but as training dummies, mirrors, moving distractions. His chakra fizzled more than it flowed. But his endurance outlasted gravity. By dusk, he was still moving. Sasuke was sharpening his blade. Sakura was balancing breath and chakra with eyes closed in meditation. And Kakashi stood above them in the trees. Watching. Measuring. Pleased, maybe. But also waiting. Because wolves weren't raised in comfort. They were carved from pain. Location, Konoha ANBU briefing room, morning. Stand straight. Eyes forward. No names. Kakashi's voice echoed through the dimly lit chamber as Team 7 stood in formation, masks clipped to their belts, uniforms crisp and dark. You are not genin in this room. You are assets. You speak when spoken to. You refer to the Hokage as commander. You refer to each other by code. He turned to Naruto. Kitsune. To Sasuke. Taka. To Sakura. Yosagi. Naruto raised a hand. Can I be something cooler? Like? No, Kakashi said. He paced slowly in front of them. You will learn to speak in code. You will learn to move without identity. You will learn to disappear. Sakura swallowed. Sasuke didn't blink. Naruto scratched his head and muttered, still think Dragon Fang would have been cooler. Kakashi stopped. Today, you'll practice blending in. Naruto perked up. Like a stealth op. Kakashi handed him a paintbrush. Fence duty. Location, Konoha Residential District, midday. The sun beat down as Naruto and 3 clones slathered paint across a long wooden fence. One clone painted the grass. Another painted a rock. The third painted Naruto. Stop moving. Naruto shouted at himself. Sasuke, 2 houses down, was already finished his fence perfectly coated, not a single drip out of place. He leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching Naruto's disaster unfold. You're wasting chakra and paint. Yeah? Well, you're wasting fun, Mr. Brood and Brush. Sakura, meanwhile, was trying to scrub graffiti off a wall while a group of kids watched and giggled. One of them whispered, "Is that ANBU girl crying?" "I'm not crying," she muttered, scrubbing harder. Location, Konoha Mission Desk, late afternoon. Your final task today, the mission clerk said, sliding a scroll across the desk, is to retrieve the Fire Daimyo's wife's cat. Again. Naruto groaned. Not Tora. Sasuke raised an eyebrow. You've done this before. Yeah. He bites. Location, Konoha alleyways, evening. Tora was a blur of gray fur and claws, streaking across rooftops like a demon possessed. Naruto chased with 3 clones, all yelling different directions. Sasuke tried to flank from above, but the cat leapt off a clothesline and landed on his face. Sakura cornered it in a crate only for it to hiss, scratch her arm, and vanish through a sewer grate. By the time they caught it, Naruto was covered in scratches, Sasuke's shirt was torn, and Sakura had leaves in her hair and a band-aid on her nose. They returned to the mission desk in silence, Tora wrapped in a towel like a ticking bomb. The clerk took one look at them and said, "Successful retrieval. Good work." Naruto collapsed onto the floor. This is the worst ANBU mission ever. Kakashi appeared behind them, hands in his pockets. Discipline isn't about glory, he said. It's about doing the job even when it's beneath you. He handed each of them a small slip of paper. Tomorrow, real mission brief. Be ready. Naruto blinked. Wait. Like real. Kakashi's eye curved behind the mask. Let's see if you can act like ghosts when the world starts watching. Also, those were just D-rank missions, Kakashi said with an eye smile. What dash the genin said in unison. Hokage Tower, mission assignment room. Kakashi stood by the window, one hand in his pocket, the other holding a tightly bound scroll. Sunlight poured across the floor, catching the edge of his mask as he turned toward them. You've completed 50 D-rank missions. Naruto's head snapped up. Wait, 50? Seriously? I stopped counting after we caught that stupid cat for the 3rd time. You counted wrong, Kakashi replied. There were 5 cat missions. Sasuke folded his arms. So what now? Kakashi tossed the scroll onto the table with a quiet clack. Now the Hokage has authorized your first C rank. He paused, letting the weight of that word settle. Real travel. Real threat. Real danger. Sakura shifted slightly. Her hand touched her gear pouch unconsciously. This isn't paintbrushes and climbing trees anymore, Kakashi added. It starts today. And it doesn't slow down. He looked at each of them then carefully. You earned this. Don't forget how. The mission is simple on paper, Kakashi said as he laid out the scroll. The team gathered around the desk, flanked by firelight and silence. 3 days ago, 2 merchant carts were hit by bandits on the East Rice Road. No survivors. Intel says they formed a makeshift camp along a ridge near River Talon. Your job, identify, confirm, and if necessary, eliminate. Sakura flinched slightly at the word. Naruto grinned. Finally. Something real. Kakashi didn't smile. He didn't blink. This isn't a simulation. If you hesitate, someone dies. No one spoke after that. Location, Forest Route, Day 1. They moved beneath the canopy like shadows. 3 black uniforms. 3 sets of eyes scanning the trees. Naruto kept bouncing in place, walking backward at times, sword bouncing lightly on his hip. Can't believe we did 50 D ranks just to get a real mission. You complained after mission 5, Sakura muttered, adjusting her pack. Still counts, Naruto shot back. Sasuke trailed behind slightly, silent but alert. His eyes flicked from branch to branch with practiced rhythm. You should stop talking. We're being watched. Naruto froze. Wait. What? Kakashi dropped from a tree ahead of them without a sound, hands in his pockets. No one's there. But he's right, Kakashi said. You should act like you're being watched. Because next time, you might be. He vanished again, as casually as blinking. Still a weirdo, Naruto mumbled. They traveled the rest of the day in tighter formation. Location, Cliffside Overlook, Day 3, dusk. The bandit camp was a crude sprawl of tents and campfires tucked inside a hollow at the base of a gnarled ridge. Crates of stolen goods were stacked in clusters, with ragged figures milling around, maybe 6 or 7 men, armed and cocky, pacing lazily. Team 7 crouched behind a veil of branches, peering down from the overlook. Naruto adjusted the grip on his katana. We could take M now. Drop clones over the edge and blitz from 3 sides. That's loud, Sasuke said. They'll scatter. We lose control in the chaos. Better than getting picked off while sneaking around. It's not, Sasuke replied coldly. I'm not gonna sit here and... Enough, Sakura snapped. They both looked at her. She pulled a charcoal stick from her pouch and started sketching in the dirt, rough tents, trees, fire. We wait until 2 guards rotate away. Naruto, you create distraction clones at the south tree line. Sasuke, come from the river bend behind the crates. I'll suppress their angle from the left using flash tags. Kakashi's voice murmured from behind them, low and approving. Good. You're thinking like shinobi. They froze. He tossed each of them a tag wrapped in fabric. When the bell goes off, move. Location, bandit camp, minutes later. The bell rang. Clones exploded into motion from the trees, shouting nonsense. One bandit turned, swearing, and Sasuke was already behind him. A flash of steel. A breath. Sakura's tag detonated in a pulse of light, blinding 2 men. She sprinted in, shaky but controlled. One lunged at her. She stabbed. Pure reaction. The man crumpled. And Sakura stared. Blood on her hands. Blade in her fingers. Her chest shuddered and she dropped the tanto, stumbling to the edge of a tent and vomiting hard into the grass. Naruto froze mid-clash. A bandit rushed him. He raised his sword and stopped. But then he saw the man aim for Sasuke's exposed side. He moved. The katana sliced through. Naruto stood there, shaking, staring at what he'd done. "I'm a shinobi," he whispered. "I'm a shinobi. I have to." Behind him, Sasuke landed the last strike quick and surgical. Then stared at the body for a long, empty second. If I had killed Itachi this way, he thought bitterly, would it have meant anything? The camp fell silent. The job was done. But their hands wouldn't stop trembling. Location, forest edge, hours later. They sat beneath a tree while Kakashi rewrapped the mission scroll. The night was quiet, too quiet. Sakura had stopped crying, but her eyes were red. Naruto's sword lay beside him, untouched. Sasuke simply stared into the dark. Kakashi looked at them one by one. "It should hurt," he said. "The day it doesn't is the day you've lost something you can't take back." No one answered. But they listened.
Clip.
Location, Konoha, training grounds, 1 hour later. They stood in front of thin strips of chakra paper, one in each hand. "Time to see what nature your chakra leans toward," Kakashi explained. Naruto squeezed the paper. It split down the middle, clean tear. "Wind," Kakashi said. "Rare. Sharp." Sasuke's caught flame at one corner, then wrinkled like dry bark. "Fire. Secondary, lightning. Fitting." Sakura's crumbled slowly, like dry earth collapsing inward. "Earth. Not strong yet. But solid." He handed each of them sealed scrolls with elemental kanji on the bands. "You don't need to master these now. But they're yours. Part of who you are. Just like what happened out there." Sakura gripped hers with both hands. Naruto tied his to his belt. Sasuke tucked his away. And the wind carried the weight of something unspoken between them. They weren't kids anymore.
you're wondering how I score top essay marks like these in university, one of my secret weapons
no place for me to return to.